Hello everyone and welcome back to the Amateur Business Show. My name is Chris Pastrana and today I'm here with Tim Carter, founder of AskTheBuilder.com, as well as author of The Roofing Ripoff. Now today, Tim is going to teach you how to never get scammed again by contractors, and he's going to tell you a dirty little secret from the roofing industry. So hold tight. We're going to go to a quick word from our sponsors, and then we're going to roll right into this. So today's podcast is brought to you by Self-Authorship. Take a moment, head over to nhbusinessshow.com/self-author for your opportunity to get two programs at once. So share with a friend. So nhbusinessshow.com/self-author.
Hey, Chris, thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. So let's get started. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I know we were talking about this just now on our own, but let's get a good history and we'll start from there.
Well, we'll start from like 100,000 feet up in the air.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a lot of time. So I was born and raised in Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. My college degree is in geology, and I didn't do that as a career. I decided to start my own business, and I did remodeling, and then I started building custom homes for about 20 years. And then in 1993, I got picked as one of the top 50 remodelers in the U.S., and I used that award to launch this media career that I have now. Because luckily, just before getting the award, I had figured out that if I continued down the pathway of building, because I was a tool belt builder. In other words, I lifted the boards, and I wasn't, like a cell phone builder who just calls all the subs and they do all the hard work. So I just knew that if I continued down that pathway, by the time I got to the age where I am now, I'd either be dead or I'd be crippled, or because it's such hard work, really hard on your body. So then in 1993 is when I launched that Ask the Builder. I got a syndicated newspaper column, and it still runs today in about 60 papers. But I quickly discovered, you'll appreciate this, when I started the syndicated newspaper column, I quickly discovered that newspaper columnists don't make any money. Mm. The publishers are making all the money. The people who are selling all the advertising. So I thought I need to be a publisher. And it was really hard to be a publisher in 1993. But in 1995, I saw the internet for the first time, and it was an instant epiphany. And I could, you're probably not really old enough to really appreciate what the internet was like back in 1995, but it was so basic. But I knew instantly that it was going to be huge. It was going to be huge, and that you'd be able to make a living from it. And that's what I do to this day. So I make my living from AskTheBuilder.com.
Good. Now, I do have some recollection of early internet. Thank you very much. But
but I mean, it was so basic. Do you remember? I mean, you couldn't. It would cripple. You could not even think about emailing a 1 megabyte file.
Yeah.
I mean, it would cripple the email system. You wouldn't be able to do it. It would be too. I mean, I remember using a 1200 baud modem.
Yeah. Yeah. Those little floppy disks.
Yeah.
And all
Yeah.
the
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So. No such thing as JavaScript. I mean, just you couldn't even think of watching a video online. Yeah. There was not enough bandwidth. So that's. I mean. A lot of young people today, they just don't realize what it was like,
Yeah.
So.
And, like you were saying, it's advanced so much, just from, was it dial-up to everything, and you used to have to plug into the phone jack, and it took forever. And
well, there was no Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi didn't exist. I mean, I'm a ham radio operator. I mean, radio signals existed, but no one had figured out Wi-Fi yet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people go, what? You mean you had to be connected? Yeah,
all the time.
You had to have a hard wire. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. So it's pretty cool. So,
yeah.
So let's get into this a bit.
Yes.
So AskTheBuilder.com. So let's talk a little bit about what you do, because you said there's a podcast, but you do some other stuff as well.
Yeah. So so much.
Yeah.
We'll go back in time to 1994. And I started my own, you'll appreciate that because that's kind of what we're doing here. I did my own live 2-hour call-in radio show, home improvement show in Cincinnati, Ohio. A lot of fun doing live radio. 5 years later, and I did that show for about 12 years. 5 years after that, in 1999, I started on television. I got hired by the ABC affiliate in Cincinnati to do a 2-minute segment every week that they would play on their nightly news. And that was a lot of fun. So I got baptized into the field of videography. I ended up doing about 200 videos with them. And here's the cool thing. They did not recognize the power of the internet at the time. And as crazy as it sounds, they were just interested in using that segment one time only. They would play it one time. It would never run again. So I negotiated in my contract that I owned the copyright on the items, and that they would have to give me a finished post-produced tape of the segment that I was allowed to tag at the end myself.
Yeah.
In other words, I would have to tag it like I would say, and remember, if you want to paint your home, use a urethane house paint. I'm Tim Carter for Eyewitness 9 News. And if the videographer said good, then I would go, okay, here we go, 3, 2, 1. And remember, if you want to paint your house, use a really great urethane paint. I'm Tim Carter, askthebuilder.com. And they would then put that on my copy.
Yeah.
So that when I got mine, I wouldn't have the stupid Channel 9 News,
Yeah.
So I then in 2004, Google approached me because they had a thing called Google Video. A lot of people don't remember that. And so they knew that video was coming to the internet. Yeah. And so they were stunned that I already had 200 videos to upload.
Yeah.
Well, then just a few months later, they bought YouTube. So I was the first YouTube home improvement partner. And so I now have over 600 videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I have all my past columns are on askthebuilder.com. All my videos are on askthebuilder.com. There's literally, I think there's maybe 4,500 pages there. And I have ads that are on those pages. And of course, anytime somebody clicks an ad or whatever, then I get revenue. So that's, it's a very neat model because I did not know this one, with respect to a business, because this is a business show. If someone's trying to get into publishing on the internet, what I think you really want to try to get into is a business model where you can make money while you sleep.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it at the time, but that's the business I'm in now, because I may be asleep at 4 a.m. and somebody's at the website clicking an ad. So pretty cool.
Yeah. That type of, as you said, as you sleep revenue is the way you want to go. Because you don't want to work, because you can't work enough time usually to make it comfortable.
Right.
So you need that type of revenue.
Yes, and so now, about 6-7 weeks ago, a friend of mine, I helped start in 1999 a very secret, high-level mastermind internet group, and one of the members of that group approached me 6 weeks ago and said, "Tim, he loves podcasts," and he said, "I've been trying to find a really good home improvement podcast," and he said they don't exist. And he had listened to my show, and he said, "You've got to get back into this. You've got to get the equipment. You've got to start a podcast, because all the ones that are out there right now, all they're doing is they're taking radio shows like mine, like a standard terrestrial radio show, and they're just throwing it up on iTunes as a podcast. Well, those don't work really well, as a podcast. A traditional terrestrial radio show." So it really got my interest because I kind of missed being in front of the microphone. And boom, within 2 weeks, we had the first podcast up.
That's really good.
So it's fun.
Yeah. So let's jump into this a little bit. What type of questions do you guys get? Like, because you said you have a podcast, you answer a lot of questions, you get a lot of things from the audience.
You name it. I mean, I can read one right now. I get them all the time.
Sure,
so let's
have some fun.
Yeah. So that's a great question, by the way. So let's. I'll show you one that just came in as I was driving here. So let's. They're always great questions. So here's one. Here's actually one from a woman that I am going to call her today. She's going to be on the podcast. This was a really good question. So it's a woman named Sue. She's from Burr Ridge, Illinois. And she says, "Hey, Tim, the large siding boards on the side of our house have developed holes and are peeling. Some holes, I believe, were caused by birds pecking at the siding. I don't know the cause of the peeling. My question is, who fixes a problem like this and how?" So the who is pretty easy, but the how is not so easy if she wants to get it done right. So that's like one question. Here's another one. So this guy, this is a really good one. He's actually on next week's podcast.
Yeah.
This was such a good one. And this is really relevant for people here in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So his name's Bob, and he's from Roscoe, New York. And he wrote in, he said, because I rely on well water, think how many people up above north of Manchester on wells, just about everybody. Mm-hmm. I have never used fertilizers or weed killers on my lawn for fear of these products contaminating the water supply. Is my fear realistic or unwarranted? Are there well water safe alternatives? Thanks, and keep up the good work. So look at anything you can think of about a house, whether it's roofing, concrete, flooring, paint. That's the kind of questions I get.
It's pretty cool. And those are fantastic questions. Like, just thinking about giving the audience a place to go to actually find an answer to some of these things that maybe they'd be scared to ask someone because they think they would look stupid. And you can just reach out and be like, oh, hey, what about this? And
well, the other thing is that they have to be careful of, and I think that is, I don't know how to say this and not sound pretentious or to beat up on anybody.
Yeah.
But the last place you want to go for advice, which is unfortunately what many people are doing, is they go to these big box stores, and I'm not going to mention their names, and they walk in, and there's somebody there with an apron on, and they ask that person for advice, and they may follow that advice, but they don't think, what kind of background does this person really have?
Yeah.
To know. In other words, let's just say the person with the apron is working in the aisle where there's ceramic tile, and the customer comes in and says, how do you put this tile down? I mean, the question I would ask the guy first would be, how many ceramic tile floors have you installed in your life? And if he goes, none, then I'd go, okay, thanks. I won't ask. Why would you want to ask somebody how to do something if they've never done it?
Yeah.
So you have to be real. And I'm one of the few people in the media. That's the cool thing. There are many, many other websites out there, like home improvement websites, people doing home improvement video, all these shows on HDTV. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? 90% or more of those people have never done the work.
Yeah.
So why would you want to trust them?
That's true. And like I said, even with a lot of personalities, it's a lot of, they look good, they're good at speaking.
Yep.
Cool. We can prep beforehand, like we were talking about earlier.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. We get them to answer all these questions, and we can make it look good.
Well, I'll give you an example. One person in our group, and he started back when I did. So everybody thinks, and God bless him, because he was great on TV. Everybody thinks that Bob Vila is this great home improvement expert. Mm-hmm. If you go read his biography, God bless him, he did virtually no hands-on work ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Because you just look at his biography and the timeline, and by the time he was in his late 20s is when he started as the host of the first season of This Old House.
Yeah.
And then once it took off like wildfire, he never hammered for a customer himself ever again. So how much life experience does he have actually doing everything?
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, it's an interesting question.
I mean, like, would you want? I mean, do you really want to get a crown? Like, let's go to another field. Let's say you have to get a crown on you. Do you really want to go get the crown from the dentist who just graduated from dental school a month ago? I don't know about you, but that's not who I want to put my crown on.
Probably not a safe.
Well, bet. It's just that they don't have enough experience. That's all. Not that they're not a good dentist. They just don't have enough experience. So
yeah, cool. So that's pretty cool. So people can just email you, come right on the show.
Yep.
Get answers to all these questions, and you generally answer them.
I answer all of them. Yeah. I have a special page at the website. You just go to askthebuilder.com, and right at the top, in the navigation or on your phone, you'll see one that says Ask Tim. And there's just a form there. You just fill it out. And here's the trouble. Many of the questions are complex. And because of the volume of questions I get coming in, I can't answer them all in great detail.
Yeah.
It just because everybody's situation is different. So for years I've offered a phone consulting service. So if you want to talk to me on the phone, I don't care where you live, because we can do it. I've talked to people in Australia, using Google Hangouts or Skype. You can hire me for just 15 minutes at a time, and we'll talk on the phone, and I'll tell you exactly what to do. So there's I actually do in-person consulting. I mean, it's hard. I mean, if you want to fly me out to California, you can fly me to California, and I will consult for 8 hours. I just did a consult 3 weeks ago for a guy up in Belmont. It was a 3-hour consult, and so I do. The answer is I answered a lot of questions.
Yeah,
and I'll even come to your house.
That's very cool. So, in the repair industry,
yep,
I could see this with contractors, because finding a good contractor is damn atrocious.
It's hard.
Yeah, and then you get a reputation. So I guess this is a good area. Finding good contractors, finding good and reputable people to work on your home.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any good tips for the audience about this?
Absolutely. It's so easy you can't believe it, and it's like right in front of your face, but you don't realize it. So if let's give an analogy for like hunting. I'm not really a hunter, but I can tell you this, that if I decided I was going to become a hunter, well, I'll tell you what's really good, because I'm from the Lakes region, fisherman. Mm-hmm. So you talk to anybody who's a good fisherman, and they really get fish all the time, where you would start to wonder, do they just randomly go out into the lake or along the river and throw their line in? The answer is no. Because they know where the fish hang out, or they know where the fish eat. And they know what the fish eat, because that's the type of bait they put on. Okay, so if you wanted to find a really good contractor, why don't you go where the contractors eat, per se? So what do contractors eat? And I'm not really talking food like steak and things like that. So they go to the really good contractors. Here's what I'll tell you for a fact. The good, great contractors do not buy their materials from the big box stores where the people wear the aprons. Mm-hmm. They go to places like up near me. We've got Middleton Lumber and Supply, the old-fashioned traditional lumber yards. So if you want to find a good contractor, you go to the lumber yard. You go at either 10 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon. That's really important to go those times, because at 10 and at 2, where are the contractors at? They are at the job site. That's where they're supposed to be working. So the lumber yards are usually not too busy mid-morning, mid-afternoon. You then go in, you go ask for the general manager, because the general manager knows what? He knows who the slime bags are, who don't pay their bills, who come in drunk, who buy the crappiest materials, and vice versa. The general manager knows who the best guys are. So let me tell you, as a contractor, having done it for 20 years, I can tell you that I discovered early on the fastest way to go out of business as a contractor is to do things wrong or have products fail where I have to come back and fix them over, which may cost me thousands of dollars out of my pocket. So if you're a really good contractor, you go, you know what? I'm going to use the best materials on this job, and I'm not paying for them. See, that's what a lot of people don't understand. In other words, the homeowner, if a good contract, like if you hire me to build your home and I say, okay, this is my bid, and these are the products I'm going to use, and if you accept the bid, you're paying for the materials, not me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm only going to use the good stuff. So to make a long story short, go to the lumber yards, go at 10 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, talk with the general manager and say, look, I know you know who the best contractors are. They buy the best materials. They pay their bills on time. They don't come in drunk, and they really care. And they're the only guys that you, and you point at the general manager, that you would have come work on your home. Who are they? And they'll almost all go, oh, yeah, here's the 3 names.
Yeah.
That's how to do it.
That's really good, because that is a question that I see asked all the time, because I roll around a lot of in home investors and stuff like that, and that question is asked all the time.
Right.
So that's super good.
But look how simple it is when you think about it.
Yeah.
It's like, the answer's like right in front of you, because there are other people who know who the experts are. Just like with healthcare, like if you have your own primary care physician. So if you really trust your primary care doctor, you already know that he knows who the best orthopedic guys are. Because if your primary care doctor falls and breaks his wrist, he doesn't want to go to some loser, right?
Yeah.
So he already knows. So you want to know who the best heart surgeon is or the best orthopedic guy? Go to your primary care doctor and ask him. Simple as that. It's not hard.
Yeah. Cool. So this leads into a good area, because let's talk about your book. So we've got roofing ripoff. That backwards. And so let's talk a little bit about the book.
Sure.
And then we'll talk a little bit why that worked in so well with the scam section.
Oh, sure. You bet. Okay. So about a year ago, I published my first real book. It's called Roofing Ripoff. Why your asphalt shingles are failing and what you can do about it. I it happened because my own roof, I moved here to New Hampshire 10 years ago. The house that I purchased was only about 9 years old, and it had a 30-year shingle on it. And it was a big, heavy dimensional shingle, and it was in really great shape at the time. I noticed within about 3 or 4 years that the roof started to look kind of bad, and I thought, well, that's odd. We're not even halfway through its life. And then it started to fail catastrophically. And what happened is, this is really kind of interesting. So being a syndicated newspaper columnist for the past 25 years, I've discovered long ago that if I call an association, if I say I'm going to write a column about this, that people, like, they're all over me because they're getting free advertising. And I know how to ask questions and blah, blah, blah. So I knew I had to replace my roof. So I'm up there tearing the roof apart, and the shingles were in such bad shape. One day I got really upset, and I thought, you know what? I am going to find out what is going on, because this is not right. And I had also seen ads in the local newspaper, the Weir's Times, from a roofing company that would help you do warranty claims. In other words, they were actually running an ad. There were so many bad roofs in central New Hampshire, they're running an ad saying, we will help you get your warranty claim taken care of. Yeah, that's like a giant red light. So how blessed am I to have my syndicated newspaper column? I write a column about it that goes nationwide. And because I just wanted, and I created a form at my page. I wanted to find out, is the problem just in New Hampshire, or is it everywhere? Well, guess what? It was everywhere. And I had hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people fill out that form. And they sent me photos to show me how bad their roofs were. And they told me their stories, very similar to mine. Like, wow, I've just bought a roof. My roof in 5 years is falling apart. My roof in 8 years, I had to replace it. I had to drain all my savings. I have no more money left because my roof went bad. It's like heart-wrenching stories. So I thought, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I write 10 or 12 really tough questions. They're in the book. And I send them to the top 3 asphalt shingle manufacturers.
Yeah.
Basically, they were tough questions, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. And I told them, I said, if some of this stuff is trade secret, I understand. You don't have to answer it. 2 of the 3 refused to answer, said, no comment, we're not answering your questions. And the third one came back with answers, but they were all spin. They had, it was just like, give me a break. The key thing that happened was the day that big national column ran where I was asking everybody for help, I got an email in the afternoon from the first paper to run it was the Washington Post. And a person stepped forward and said, we need to have a conversation. And to make a long story short, I had a deep throat source, very, very, very high up in the industry, come forward because he was morally challenged about what was going on.
Yeah.
And he agreed to a 90-minute interview that I was allowed to record, where he exposed everything that's going on. So everything in the book is true.
Okay.
Because I have yet to be challenged by the roofing manufacturers.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, and that's usually one of the first signs of.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we're
like
not going after this because we're gonna ignore
Well,
it.
they knew they knew that they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar.
Yeah.
And but the bigger thing was this. So big deal. Like, I mean, we're powerless. You and I are powerless against these monster companies. If they decide that they want to make a really bad product and sell it, so what are you going to do? Are you going to make your own shingles? No. So fortunately, a little over 2 years ago, as I was doing the research of the book, I discovered totally by accident one day how the average person can make their asphalt shingle roof last for 40 years or 50 years to basically shove it up the asphalt shingle manufacturers, you know what?
Yeah.
All they have to do is put a strip of copper up on top of their roof. It's all covered in the book. And if people want to read the first 3 chapters for free, easy, just go to roofingripoff.com. It's all there. And it's really a cool book because I've got all kinds of great photographs in it. And I've got photographs. I was the first person in the world to discover that copper reacts chemically with asphalt and it stops the asphalt molecules from cross-linking. If too many asphalt molecules cross-link and connect, what happens is they get real brittle, and that's why the shingles lose the granules. That's why they curl. So if you have copper coming down on the roof, the asphalt stays very nice and soft and supple, and it doesn't degrade. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, so anyone that wants that, check that out. Like I said, let's do this again. Roofing Ripoff right there. Go get it. Take a look at your roofs. Again, that's something you really want to look at.
Well, you can. Well, I mean, when you start to think that these roofs are costing, I mean, maybe an average roof job might be $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, and that for just $300 or $400, you can put some copper up on top of the roof, and you have to get the right copper to save the money. You can go out and buy some copper. You may spend $3,000 on the copper, but I made a deal with a company in Maine that actually makes this very, very thin copper that you can put on your roof that's very affordable. I sell it at my shopping cart, but you can buy it anywhere. It doesn't matter. But I've got the best price in the United States on it. But it doesn't matter. Just that for just the average homeowner for maybe $200-$300 can completely protect their roof forever. In their lifetime. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the good news.
Yeah.
So we can, we can save people. Save people thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting.
Yes, that is very exciting. It's good to see. Because you're right. Sometimes we we can't compete with these big manufacturers, and you can't really do much, but you have a voice, and you can at least make it known. And then same here. That's what part of the show is. What I do is highlight good companies, bring out the bad ones.
Yeah.
So you can stand there and with your audience, you can do that, and you can make the difference.
Well, the way I look at it, Chris, is what the asphalt shingle manufacturers are doing is it's not that it's illegal. In other words, you are allowed to make a crappy product if you want. Mm-hmm. I feel that what they're doing, and this is what I say at the end of the book, is that it's a very unethical process.
Yeah.
And I was a real estate broker back in Ohio, and every 3 years you have to take continuing education classes. One of the mandatory classes that you have to take every 3 years is real estate ethics.
Yeah.
And the reason is that ethics, you can get ethically challenged any day. You may be ethical a year ago, but there may be pressure in your life now, some type of pressure financial that makes you do something that's not so good.
Yeah.
But it's legal.
Mm-hmm.
That's why ethics and law are two different words.
Yeah.
So I just think that what they're doing is very unethical because they're making a product, but they're saying it's going to last this long, or they're selling you this warranty. But in reality, they know it's like there's no way it's going to make it that long.
Yeah.
Well, that's wrong in my opinion. Just tell people maybe the shingles are going to last 8 years.
Yeah.
And then I'd be fine with it, but that's not what they're doing. So that's why I wrote the book.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. So we're gonna take a quick. Can't talk. Gonna take a quick second to get away from our sponsors. Then we're gonna move on to some tips for the audience and stuff like that. Cool. Okay, everyone, hold on for just a moment. So as I mentioned before, I'm going on a little health journey. So like you all tag along with me as I go through the Ideal Health program with Stephanie Edwards. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. So we're gonna jump into this. We're gonna lose a lot of weight. As of right now, I'm sitting at about 350. I know I don't look it, but we're gonna jump in. We're gonna lose a lot of weight. I'm hoping. I'm probably gonna lose between 100 and 120 pounds. We'll see how that runs about by the end of the year. And with the gentle tutelage of Stephanie, we are going to do some amazing things. So I'm going to do a week-by-week program for everybody, so they can follow along and see how much I've lost, every single week. And it's going to be a ton of fun. We're all going to have a good time. So if you want to join us on this adventure, head over to nhbusinessshow.com/ideal and let Stephanie know you want in on the program too. Join up, and we can all get through this together. So let's do some things for the audience, because I already asked about finding contractors, which was a great answer. But when you finally find the contractor, what type of questions should you be asking them to, verify that they do know what they know, and some of that little thing?
Great. That's probably there's an old saying, Chris, that the power is in the question. And I'll give you an example of that today. This morning, overnight, I get a question from a homeowner. And he says, my dryer's in my basement. It vents out through the sidewall, and it vents, and we built a deck, and for years it's vented underneath the deck. Like, who cares? Big deal. But then they recently transformed the deck into a 3-season room. And his question was, can I continue to vent the dryer under the 3 seasons room? So I know what he's trying to ask.
Yeah.
But if I've done expert witness work for almost 20 years. My most recent case is I was on the roof of the Brazilian ambassador's house on the Caribbean island of Antigua. So, I even travel internationally to do this stuff. If an attorney asked me a question like that, if he asked me that exact question, my answer would be, yes, you can do it. But if he would have said, is it a recommended practice or is it a good idea to vent the dryer underneath the 3 seasons room?
Yeah.
What do you think my answer would be?
Probably not a good idea.
No. Bad idea. Bad idea. Okay, so that story is to tell homeowners, your homeowners that are watching, listening, you can't just ask any question. You have to ask the right questions. The only way, and this is hard, this is why why so many homeowners get taken to the cleaners, because they are not willing to do the work. If you want to know what questions to ask the builder, the right ones, I'll give you an example. Let's say you've decided you're going to switch out your old patio door, this old nasty slider, and you want to put in a beautiful new French door out onto your patio or out onto your deck. So you hire a contractor, give me a bid to put in this new French door. And so they come back with their bids. So how do you know if the contractor is going to do the job right? Okay, it's a rhetorical question. What you have to do, unfortunately, and it's very simple, luckily, once again, because of the internet, how lucky. I can tell you that 20 years ago, it was so hard to do what I'm going to tell you, you couldn't believe it. But now it's click, 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 and it's done. Mm-hmm. You as the homeowner, if you're going to get a new French door put in that goes out onto your deck, you have to go pick out the French door that you want first. That's very important. Don't let the contractor tell you which door to get. You go research it, you find the one you want. Then here's the most important thing. You go to the manufacturer's website, you download the installation instructions, and you read them. Trust me, they are easy to read. You know why? because they have to be written so that a person with an IQ of 80 or less can understand them, because that's the IQ of many of the people putting in the French doors, unfortunately. So it's not like you're reading this very complex technical document. So now that you have read the French door installation instructions, what do you know? You know how it should be done the right way.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can then bring the contractors over, and then you can start asking them some mildly probing questions. Like you could say, can you explain to me how you're going to make sure that there are no leaks under the door? All right? Because in the instructions, the manufacturer tells you exactly what you have to do to make sure no water leaks in. So see if the contractors describe what it says to do in the instructions. If he just says, oh, we just run a bead of caulk underneath it, you go, thank you so much for stopping by today. I really appreciate it. And you show them to the door, because it's obvious they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So those are the type, you ask the questions about how the job's going to be done. And it unfortunately requires a little bit of work on your part. But you know what? If you don't want to do the work, if you don't want to invest that time, it's okay. It's only money. Don't worry about it. It only means that you'll lose thousands and thousands of dollars. So,
Yeah.
No, but it's only money.
And it's funny because it goes back to the old adage of don't ask a question you don't know the answer to.
That's exactly right. There you go. That's a really great point.
Yeah.
So you just have to do your work on it. I mean, and so it gets very complex the more complex the job gets, meaning if you're going to build a room addition, because you know what, there's a lot of moving parts. You know, I'll give you a really great example. So roofing, just roofing alone. Like if you have a chimney, if you have a dormer sticking up out of your roof, the roofers today, I see all these guys doing it. They just take aluminum and they bend the aluminum at these corners and then they caulk it. Well, caulk is not a permanent roofing material.
Yeah.
The sun degrades it. In the old days, we used to use tin-plated steel and they would solder it. That's a permanent bond. Or you can use copper, thin copper, and solder it. Or you can use lead and make flat folded lock seams, flat lock seams.
Yeah.
So this is all information that's out there. But so you would ask the roofer, you have to put new flashing on my chimney. What material are you going to use? And if they say aluminum, then you say, thanks for stopping by. See, it's really that simple. You know, so you just got to do some research.
Cool. Awesome. Let's see. What was the next one? Okay. Things on your property that typically get overlooked that really shouldn't because they need to get maintained.
Well, that's a really good one. The biggest thing is that on the outside of a house, you have to just constantly be concerned about water. So water, we need water to live, but water just destroys so many things outside. So, you know, you need to be really concerned about drainage. You need to make sure that the ground around your home slopes away from the house. I see all the time where homeowners have their roof downspouts just empty onto the ground right next to their foundation. No, you need to pipe that away from the foundation. Make it go 20, 30, 40 feet away. You, like here in New Hampshire, anybody kind of north of the, Manchester, those of us who have septic systems, you have to really watch your septic systems. You have to make sure that you maintain it right. And maybe you've never been trained on what goes in a septic system or what shouldn't go in. But just keep, like in the spring, as soon as this wretched snow goes away, and it warms up, you might want to walk around the house, look for gaps, just imagine that you don't want any water to get inside behind your siding or brick or whatever. So just look for places where water can get in. That's usually the biggest problem.
Okay, good. That's awesome. So yeah, so as we get ready to close this all out, what are some resources for people, say they're looking around their homes and need to repair something, or they want to do something around the house, or they're trying to do anything? Any resources for
It's a wonderful. That's a great question, Chris. Great question. The first thing I would love to see them do is come to my website, of course, askthebuilder.com.
Mm-hmm.
They should also subscribe to my free newsletter. They should start to subscribe to the podcast, because that's all my newsletter is, all the podcast. It's just a constant stream of tips, because as I answer a question from somebody that you may go, oh my gosh, I have that same problem. So here's the biggest tip of all. As you know, you can go right now for $8 a month. You can go to dreamhost.com. You can buy a domain name from GoDaddy for less than $10 a year.
Mm-hmm.
For $8 a month, you can go to DreamHost or Bluehost and have a website up in an hour.
Yeah.
Okay. Think of a building like we're in right now. If you decided I wanted to, I want to rent an office. Well, you're going to pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month to rent space. Okay.
Yeah.
So it costs, in other words, the point I'm trying to say is the barrier to entry on the internet is like a millimeter high. Anybody can start a website.
Yeah.
If you're out surfing the web, and you stumble across some home improvement site, and they've got a column about this topic, like if you want to, here's the best paint to use, or here, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Don't even read the column. Stop right there. Just stop. Time out. Immediately look in the navigation, and if they have an About Us page, you know what those are, where you'll click it and you'll learn about the website.
Yeah.
If you cannot see the picture of the person who is creating the content, and if they do not tell you in a few paragraphs their background, maybe that's not such a great place to go. Remember what we talked about earlier, how there are people who work in these big box stores that wear aprons, who have never put in a tile floor, who have never put a roof on, who have never installed concrete. Yet you walk in there and you ask them how to do stuff. That's insane.
Yeah.
So if you land on a home improvement website, and this could go for any website about any advice, if they cannot prove to you that they have done the work in paying, and here's the definition of a pro. What's a professional? A professional is somebody who offers services to another and gets paid for it.
Yeah.
That's a professional. Okay, so just because you drive a forklift, not that we love forklift drivers. We need them to bring us stuff. We need them to load trucks for us. Okay, cool. I used to drive one. Mm-hmm. But just because you're a forklift driver 40 hours a week and you happen to like home improvement and you happen to start your own website because you do home improvement projects around your home, that does not make you an expert.
Yeah.
Because you may be doing it wrong. Yeah. A lot of people doing things wrong, but they think they're doing it right. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's step one. Watch out when you're at other websites. Okay. They have to prove to you that the person creating the content has done the work as a paid professional. Here's the best place to go to get information. In our industry, in our vertical, like home improvement or home construction, residential construction, there are no less than 100 associations out there. And many of them you've never heard of before. Like, have you ever heard of the Portland Cement Association?
No, I would.
No.
Never.
It's a huge organization. Mm-hmm. Chris, they have got, I can't begin to tell you how many incredible brochures and very technical bulletins that tell you exactly how concrete should be installed, how it should be mixed. Don't you think that's important here? In other words, if you're going to spend $10,000 on a driveway, don't you think it's worth investing 30 minutes to find out exactly how it's supposed to be done? Portland, and it's solid information. It is not heavily biased at all. How about people who have brick homes? It's called the Brick Industry Association. They have the most incredible library of technical notes that show you exactly how brick is supposed to be installed so that it does not leak water that you could ever imagine. It's all free. All this information free.
Now, is there any place to go to have a list of all these associations or anything?
I've got them on my website at askthebuilder.com.
Oh, great. Perfect. That's perfect. I was going to say, if you don't, you should.
Yes, I have it all. So, yeah. So, and I just found out about a new one yesterday that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
I was at a conference in Portland, Maine. It was, and there's a new association about concrete repair. And I didn't even know that one existed. So,
pretty cool.
yeah, so it's just all about these companies that make amazing concrete repair products. Yeah. So they want to promote their products, and so they want to tell you the best way to use them, the best way to install them. So go, like the California Redwood Association, the Vinyl Siding Institute, the Paint Quality Institute. I could go on and on and on. There are so many great associations. So go get the information for free from these associations.
Yeah. And like you said, that's a great way to go learn. And then when you get a contractor, you can compare it against what they say.
Exactly. And I can already tell you that 9 out of 10 of the contractors you're going to interview, unless you've done what I said about going to the lumber yard, they will be doing it wrong. 9 out of 10 are going to do your work the wrong way. So just take the time, go to that local lumber yard and talk. It's important. You have to talk with the general manager. I don't want you to talk to the person on the counter. You know, when you first walk in and the store clerk there, Yeah. You got to find the general manager. That's who it's got to be, that person. And they're happy to talk with you. Yeah. Because you know why? They know that you're going to be buying the materials from them for the job because you're local.
Yeah.
Duh. It's not hard.
Girl. So a lot of people get in touch with you if they need advice, need to come on the show, all that.
It's simple. Just go to askthebuilder.com, and once again, in the navigation, there's that Ask Tim, Ask Tim page. Fill out the simple form, your name, email address. I'll get right back with you. Simple as that.
Cool. Awesome. So thank you so much for being on the show with me today, Tim. It's been a lot of fun and very enlightening. I like this. It was
well, Chris, it was my pleasure. I appreciate the invitation, and I'll do my best to promote your show, to all the businesses that I know, here in New Hampshire. There's a lot of really great ones.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And we're going to roll out with a quick word from our sponsors, and everyone have a fantastic day. So if everyone do me a favor to grab your phone right now and head over to chrispastrana.cardtap.com. Now, once you're over there, you're going to get access to our app. So jump on the app, share it with every business you know. Let's make this show something that the state hasn't seen before, which it already hasn't. But we're going to keep growing. We're going to keep doing awesome things. So nhbusinessshow.com/cardtap or chrispastrana.cardtap.com. I think, yeah.